Howdy folks, I am here today to give you a few tips on your oil change and hopefully help you kind of cut through that confusion in the oil aisle at the auto parts store, even though the guy at the counter is supposed to be ASC certified and you can clearly tell that he doesn't know his butt from a hole in the ground. Well, let's talk motor oil for starters. Motor oil, as we all know, comes in different weights and different viscosities. There's also motor oils for a diesel engine and motor oils for a standard gasoline powered engine, and then there's the ones for your two-stroke engines, but we're gonna mainly be covering right here tonight, as it is for me. Tonight we're just gonna cover the four-stroke gasoline powered engine. Now, as a lot of you may or may not know, is that if you ever look on the back of a bottle or a jug of motor oil, this just happens to be the Motorcraft synthetic blend, right here we'll have a donut. Come on folks. Oh, wrong direction. Come on. Right here's the donut. Now, this is American Petroleum Institute service rated for SN Plus. SN and SN Plus. It's got a dual service rating, which it's fine. SN Plus is right now the best service rating for a modern engine that the API or American Petroleum Institute has for gasoline powered engine motor oil. Now, modern engines take a completely different motor oil, and what I'm saying by modern engines, pretty much engines built after 2011 on, they take a very different motor oil than even something like what I have behind me in this 2000 Taurus would have taken from the factory. Because with modern emission systems nowadays, they have to keep those emission systems working. Now, older engines will run on SN or SN Plus, such as this motor, but if you're looking at your hot rods, the vehicles with the flat tappet cams, as of right now, 2019, this was not true in the past, but as of right now in 2019, you would not want to run a motor with a flat tappet cam. That means that the cam literally rides on a sheet of metal. You would not want to run it on an SN or an SN Plus motor oil, because you're going to wipe out the cam. And what I mean by wiping out the cam is that your cam lobes will actually start to break down, and by doing that, it's literally making the entire cam flat. It would be like hitting the lobes of your cam, the things that open and close your valves, that tell your valves when to open, when to close. That'd be like hitting them with a belt grinder. So, modern engines, they have practically 98% of engines built 1980 onward have a roller cam, so an SN or an SM Plus motor oil will work just fine for you. And pretty much any engine built after 2000 and that isn't some high performance street rod will do just fine. Now, most modern engines, most engines built after 1980 that were just your daily driver, your daily cruiser motors, those are the ones that will do just fine on this, because those are the ones that have a flat, that do not have a flat tappet cam. They have what they call a roller cam, where there's an actual roller bearing that rides that cam to prevent it from premature breakdown. And by doing that, they were allowed to run a lighter zinc oil. What they were running into in the old days, in the 1980s and into the late 70s and the 80s, was that they were finding out that the high zinc motor oils that they had used in the past were actually killing catalytic converters. They would flow, but when you'd go in for your emissions testing, they would not pass emissions. They would essentially be a null and void item. And back in the 1970s, a catalytic converter could run you well over $1,000. So, keeping that in mind, motor oil is very important. Making sure that you've got the right motor oil is very important. But I feel for most of the viewership that's probably going to view this video, a good oil, for me, I'm going to be putting this Motorcraft oil in this engine. If you've got a GM, you might want to flock towards the Mobil stuff. If you've got Mopar, you're probably going to want to start flocking towards the Pennzoil stuff, because those are generally what I'm seeing as factory fill here in the States. Here in the United States is a factory fill for GM and a factory fill for Mopar. Ford, you know, at least here in the States, Ford will run their own blended oil. Over in Europe, they actually use, from what I'm understanding, over in Europe, Ford uses a lot more of the Castrol stuff than their actual own house branded stuff, and that's why you'll see a lot of the Castrol stuff. If you look in the back, they will have manufacturer service ratings. API is not the only service rating out there that you would want to really look for. Flip it around to the back, and on this one, it's printed right at the top, meets API SN Plus standards, and Ford WSS-M28946-B1 specifications and IOSAC GF5 standards. Okay. Now, on the back of the Castrol, because it is, they don't know what the heck you're putting it in. You could be putting this in a 2010 Chevy Silverado. You could be putting this into a Chrysler 300. You could be putting this into a Taurus Shell. They don't know what you're putting it in. Oil manufacturers try and put specifications, but the manufacturer of the vehicle would want. So, such as the Ford specification, I'm not even going to read it again. Number. If you look on the back of the Castrol jug, and I know the light's poor, folks, but if you look on the back of the Castrol jug, it says it meets Ford WSS-M2C929-A. It also meets their WSS-M2C946-B1. Now, that is the same number as what's on the Motorcraft jug already. So, Ford is fairly easy to figure out what's going to run in your Ford. It's getting a lot better with the GMs, because if you look at the front of the bottle now, the front of the bottle, it says Dexos, and this is Gen 2. I believe right now we're in Gen 3, so this is actually a service rating behind, but this is Dexos 2 approved, and I believe this also yes, it does. And Mopar actually gets a little bit weird in what it will want for service rating, and that's generally why when people ask me, hey, what do I put in my Jeep? Run Pennzoil. From what I'm understanding, Pennzoil is the factory fill for most Mopar engines, whether it's the Chrysler bred ones or even the newer Fiat brought in motors. Apparently a lot of them are running the Pennzoil in them. So if you really want to go OE factory for your Mopar, pick yourself up a Mopar filter and Pennzoil, and you will have a factory fill set up right there. So, say you don't change your own oil, and you take it in. Make sure that the oil that they're putting in your vehicle is what the manufacturer wants in that engine. Not just on an SAE weight rating, but also on an API rating. And if you can, see if they've got the data sheets so that you can actually see if it's Ford approved, or in GM's case, Dexos approved. And before you make the pocketbook come out and pay for that oil change. Now, when people ask me what kind of an oil filter to run, this is where I tell you, go OE. You know, the OE manufacturers, they know what they want. They know what flow rates they want out of the filter, so that little light in your dash that tells you got low oil pressure, that stays off. One big thing I'm going to tell you right now, stay the heck away from Fram. Okay? I really do not like the way that the Fram filters are built, and at least for me, I've had problems where that oil light has come on because the filter is not letting enough flow through. So, for me, I do OE. I refuse to anymore buy another brand of filter, and it comes down to the OE manufacturers. They know what they want, they know what that motor wants, And unless it's some crazy weird build that you've done yourself, you know, if you're looking at a bone stock motor, always your best option. Like, such as for me, with my fleet, the Fords get the Motorcraft, my GMs get AC Delco, and my Mopar gets Mopar. Are the OE filters a little more expensive? Yes, but in the long run, they will pay for themselves in fuel economy and the peace of mind of knowing that you've got a filter that's got the right flow rate through it and is protecting that engine the correct way. Now, let's talk about the other end to the spectrum, the basic oil change. Now, if you folks do your own oil change, this might not impress you, but if you're looking into starting to do your own oil change, this is something you should look into. They have several different styles of oil filter wrenches for different applications, different areas of use. They've got the strap that goes around the filter. You tighten it and you break the filter free that way. You've got the cup styles that have either a socket, or in this case it's got both a socket and a ratchet, a 3/8 drive ratchet hole here in the back, so that you can twist it off that way. And then you've got your standard band style. This is good old-fashioned band style. There's two different sizes. There's the big size. This is the smaller size. The bigger sizes, that's for things like this FL820S oil filter that are a very large filter. The next big thing on the list is to actually have a good socket or wrench set. Don't be going through the dollar bin and getting your tools to do an oil change at the dollar bin, because of the fact that even if you go to Harbor Freight and buy the Pro Line tools, they have a heck of a lot better quality fit and finish than the dollar tools. And what I'm saying is that it's not just in the chrome finish or what have you, it's the fit. It fits on the fastener, or in this case the drain plug, and it drains the oil. Now, do you need to go out and spend $150 on a ratchet and another $200 on a rail set from Snap-on? No. What I'm saying is that buy good quality tools to help you through this, and it will go smoothly. The times that it won't go smoothly is when you start using the bargain bin tools that are of no name or no quality, and that's when you're going to strip stuff, and that's when you're looking at a new drain pan, a new oil pan, or a new drain plug. If you get lucky, all you need is a new drain plug. If you... But, these are big items. The last big item that you need is an actual drain pan large enough to fit the capacity of the vehicle that you're changing. Now, in the case of a gas motor, most gas motors will run between 3 and as high as 8 quarts of oil. Diesels are a lot different. They want gallons of oil. They want 3 to 5 gallons of oil, and that's where it gets tricky, and that's why we're sticking with the gas motors right now. If you folks want me to do something on a diesel, please tell me in the comments and I'll try and put that together. I've got a few people that I could reach out to help me do that video. Just leave it down in the comments. But make sure you got a big enough drain pan. The next big thing, if you're working on a car like what I'm going to be doing here, you want to make sure that you got the vehicle well supported. In this case, I've got steel ramps under this thing, and I've got the back wheel blocked up so the car will not roll back. And with that, I'm pretty safe and secure. Now, do not just put a floor jack underneath your vehicle and think that that's okay. No. You need jack stands. Go buy yourself a set of jack stands. I think now you can go buy them for like 30 bucks if you're working on a car. I mean, you don't need the big 12-ton jack stands if you're going to be working on a Honda Civic. 3-ton jack stands will support your Honda Civic just fine. Trucks, if they're high enough off the ground, you may not even need lifting equipment. Just crawl underneath it with the drain pan. But make sure that the vehicle's in park. Make sure that nobody's going to start the vehicle on you. And take the safety precautions. Wear safety glasses. If you've got allergic reactions to chemicals, wear gloves. This is no-brainer stuff. Just know that you will get dirty. So wear clothes that you wouldn't mind if they get wrecked. And a little off topic, but that's kind of why mechanics wear dark clothing. So I'm going to change this oil. Big tip, last tip I think I'm going to give you is that if the engine's cold, start it, let it run for a minute, shut it off, and the oil will actually drain easier. Now this motor, I've just come off the highway with this about half hour ago, and this should still be warm. So if you are working on a vehicle that has just come off the highway, just note one thing, that your engine coolant will run between 190 and 210 degrees. Your oil will run between 210 degrees and all the way up as high as 400 degrees. So keep that in mind, that oil does get a lot hotter than engine coolant. So make sure you're staying safe on that note, and thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.